Well, thank you. And it's a pleasure to be part of this conversation today. And similarly, digging through our archives, there was a report done in 1958 by our predecessor organizations, which was the first of two Greenbrier reports. And 3 points that were made there: that the very survival of Western civilization might depend on the strength and quality of higher education, that what happens to the strength and quality of higher education would depend in no small measure on how well the public understands and is willing to support our colleges and universities. And finally, that the advancement of such public understanding and support would depend almost exclusively on improving the individual institution programs developed to achieve these ends. So as Nikki made the point so eloquently, this has been a question for a very long time. And I think over history, universities have been deep holders of trust. And as we all know, colleagues in institutions around the world are really focused on this. I think in my experience, and it's been a real privilege and honor, not just to live and work in 3 distinct parts of the world, but also with CASE's membership in 82 countries around the world, to have a sense of different contexts and different perspective. And I think it's consistently true in my experience in the 3 countries in which I've lived, in Australia and the UK and the US, that the perceptions of the value of higher education and at times the demonization of higher education, and particularly those that are deemed to be elite institutions, is consistent and unfortunately consistent. And I know that we'll go on to talk more about work that is being done to address that. Also, if one looks at recent research, for example, the Edelman survey, some illuminating elements of that, which do give one some insight and reassurance, is that if one looks at societal leaders that are most trusted, interestingly, their most recent survey sees scientists as coming out as being one of the most trusted segments at 73%. But also that sense, and I remember the Pew survey that came out 2 or 3 years ago here in the United States, which was looking along perceptions based on political leaning. And the question was about whether higher education had a negative impact on society, and a worrying proportion of Republican-leaning people believed that it did indeed have a negative perception, or negative impact rather. That shifts when people are talking, or politicians are talking about their local institution. So my local institution, my local organization, my local university is of course doing great things. It's the collective of higher education where the problem lies, but it's sort of almost
the other guys.
It's the other guys. So it's complicated,
okay,
and there's